Hello, my name is Myra Tanksley, and I'm recording this on March the 15th, 2017. And I am the proud single mother of a young man with autism by the name of Marquis. He's 24 years old. He is a victim of government and court-appointed corrupt attorney guardian abuse, neglect, and exploitation. He's been used for federal funds. He has been isolated and hidden from me since March the 15th, 2015. That's the last time that we were allowed to visit. The last time I actually got to view him or see my son through my own effort was July the 8th, 2015. I knew that he had an appointment that he had told me about. So the Lord told me where he was living. And so on that date, because he had told me that he had to go to an appointment. It told me the time. So I was around outside the little rundown, um, nasty place that they having in, and I was able to see him. And it was just heartbreaking because he didn't know I was going to be there, and he begged me to stay. He begged me to go with him, not to leave him, and he had gained, and that was less than 4 months, because the last time I actually visited with him was March the 15th, 2015. That's the last time the corrupt, unfit, racist, evil, wicked attorney named Aaron Sanford allowed us to visit. And I'm going to just say right here and now, I'm not being separated and having no contact with my son because of anything I have done wrong. I mean, you don't have to do anything wrong for sick, evil, wicked people to mistreat you or do you wrong. Just like my son, I mean, he's being treated worse than the inmate. Even these inmates have visits and phone calls and, from their families and stuff. So, look at the way they treated Jesus. And I am a Christian. So, sick, evil, wicked, racist people are sick and evil. And you don't have to deserve it. People get mistreated and treated worse than animals in this world and have, even die because of their skin color, because people are so sick and evil and wicked and they need Jesus in their hearts. So I just want to say that. Plus, I've been a nurse for, I'm going to say 31 years now. I graduated out of nursing school back in June of 1986. And so I've been RN for that long. Got my license in March of 87. But back then you could only take your boards like twice a year. But so I've been a nurse that long, and I'm not on any abuse or neglect or exploitation registries. I couldn't practice nursing as long as I've been practicing it if I was an abuser or uh, neglect people and stuff. So, um, so the reason why they treat me the way they treat me is because of my advocacy for my son and racism. It ain't because I abused or neglected my son. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying at the beginning, he's been hidden and isolated from me. I have 3 Facebook pages that I'm exposing these people on and telling the story of my son's abuse, neglect, and suffering at the hands of Governor John Kasich, Attorney General, and these Ohio officials, Ohio Governor John Kasich, Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine, Franklin County Probate Court Judge Robert Montgomery, Groveport, Ohio Attorney Aaron Sanford, Consumer Support Services Incorporated out of Newark, Ohio, Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, Franklin County Board of Developmental Disabilities. I'm gonna put Disability Rights Ohio in there because they haven't done anything. See, it all depends. This country's so racist. That's why it's going down. I'll get to that later. But it all depends on who it is, because if you're part of the network or the good buddy system, you're not gonna have to worry about any kind of oversight or being held accountable for illegal, unconstitutional acts. And I say that because and the Lord said, just don't bother those people. He's the only reason why I don't call Sanford anymore. He said, leave them evil, leave that evil woman alone. I'll deal with it. I got this thing handled. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your phone calls. Don't even bother those evil people. But um, I had, even though probate court is one of the entities that I mentioned just earlier, and they're corrupt, the judge is racist and corrupt, unfit, I still, you know, made out a complaint, against Sanford. But it was just a waste of time, because like I said, they're all talk together, work together, eat together, sleep together, whatever, and they appointed her, you know. So it was just a waste of time, but I still went through the motions and filed a complaint, and it went nowhere. And they lied on me and slandered me. That's why I say I got these pages out of here, but ain't nobody gonna come to me and say, oh, take it down, cease and desist, or you're slandering us, because it ain't slander if it's true. But that's why I do it. If I put it out there, you know, you better believe I had the evidence to go right along with it. So after, I wasn't surprised, and they closed, wouldn't even, you know, think about it. Went through their little investigations, and remember, that's their investigations. You ain't going to find nobody. That's the reason why the Bible talks about injustice. God talks about injustice throughout the Bible. He uses the prophets and the people. But if you go through the Bible, you will see a lot of stuff about injustice. Is in the Old Testament, is in the New Testament, is in the Proverbs. A book of Proverbs is it by the minor and major prophets, is in the New Testament. I mean, God really hates injustice, and when he talks about injustice, he's talking about all this trash that you got working, judges that work in the legal system or the illegal system, judges. He's talking about magistrates. He's talking about lawyers or lawyers. He's talking about court investigators. Just all that trash that works together as a system. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about the average Joe on the street. So I went ahead and wrote the Ohio Supreme Court Disciplinary Council. Now, they're supposed to have oversight over all the attorneys in the state of Ohio. And so I wrote them about Sanford specifically. And I wrote two things. I had two themes. How she was during my son. I was like, that ain't even natural and normal to break up a family, try to break up a family, because God's going to put us back together, and separate a loving, supportive mother, professional mother, from a disabled individual. Now, if there was abuse and neglect and all that, and I said, even them, those kind of families still get contact visits, but so I wrote them about that, and the way my son's been living in poverty. She's got him on Thorazine, and all the abuse and neglect that he's suffering from um, having, incompetent, unfit, abusive staff, where she got him located at. And I said, it's just, all the unconstitutional things that are going on. His rights are being trampled on. I said, he got a right to see his own mother, So I put that in there, and then I put in how she lies. I said, this is a vicious, racist, trashy, unfit attorney. Her name is Erin Sanford, and I'll tell her to her face. She ain't gonna say you're slandering me, because I got 3 audio videos that proves that she's a liar, and she's a pathological liar. But I mean, just because somebody's a attorney or a doctor or a nurse don't mean squally dead. I said, you got some vicious, nasty, racist, unfit, incompetent, ignorant, people that are, especially if they're white, because that white privilege, they just push them right through school, give them their degree, they study a little bit and pass that test, but they're just as racist and biased, and then sometimes they're not that good even doing their professional jobs. So it don't mean anything, and that's what this is. I said, because I worked around nurses, I work around nurses now. They're just as racist and biased as they can be, very hostile, you know, um, and they fuss and cuss and everything else because they're mean people. And they just happen to be nurses. It doesn't have anything to do with them being a nice person. Because I see some nurses that just, I'm going like, what are they doing? They're not team players, or they don't like minorities and all kind of stuff. Or they're there to, for the paycheck, or trying to land a doctor or something like that. So, it's just totally ridiculous. But so after I wrote them, and like I said, the first thing was the way she was treating my son, her so-called appointment as his fraudian guardian. And the second was because all the lies that she told on me. Now, if you go to the disciplinary council's website of the Ohio Supreme Court, they, tout that, any attorney that lies to the court or on a client, to the court or on somebody else. Well, just if you lie to the court and if you lie to your client, that wasn't allowed. It's like we have zero tolerance for that. That it didn't say zero tolerance, but that's what it, said. Attorney is not to lie to the court or to a client. So I told him about that. It was 24-page report. It was 24 pages, including the cover page. And then I put in some evidence, copy some documents and stuff. They wrote me back talking about, never did address the part about her lying, but said the part about way she was treating my son to go to the probate court. So I called the woman back, never talked to her, just left a message. I said, I'm not surprised. I said, you people are just sickening. You people turn my stomach. I said, you never did even acknowledge what I told you about her lying, which is supposed to be a no-no according to you all. A lying attorney. I mean, but there's a lot of lying attorneys and stuff, but and I said, but I'm not surprised. And I said, I already went to probate court, but I knew how that was going to turn out. And that's why you got such a, when you got everybody that's corrupt and rotten, that's why you have such a devastating systemic corruption or a systemic racism. And I forgot to say that the purpose of this audio video, I'm getting ready to put another audio video from March the 1st, 2012, of Marquis missing me, because they have always wanted to attack the black family and separate it. And I'm at the age, I don't give a darn whether people deny it. They can say whatever they want to say and stuff. I said, because, and all white people are not racist. If I felt that way, I wouldn't give them money. Homeless white people out on the corner, I wouldn't have paid for that woman's uh, groceries. I paid for her. She was a stranger, and I just paid for it. She happened to be in the store. Over $66 worth of groceries and stuff. And I'm not stupid enough to say a whole race is rotten like these racist white people, because you're not wrapped too tight if all you can see when you look at me is the N-word or a black person. If you can't see the rest of me, then you need Jesus. You really need some help. And that's what a racist does. They can't see anything else. And they hate you so much, they're going to make you out to be what they want you to be. And it's real simple. You see why, or you wonder why, people that are victims of racism get treated the way they do, because that racist thinks you less than they are. Your life is not as worth as their life. I mean, you don't have that much worth, but they're going to treat you less because they see you as less. They're going to, they think you're not as good as they are. or you, like I said, you 3/5 of a human being, and you have no worth, they're gonna treat you like that. That's why you see all this stuff with these. And I have nothing against law enforcement. I There's a couple of police officers treated me and Marquis wonderful at times when we had interaction with them. My brother's in law enforcement, but if you don't think somebody got any worth, you're gonna treat them like they don't have any worth. If you think somebody ain't no better than a sewer rat or a dog out on the street, that's what you're gonna do. And that's the thing with Black Lives Matter. I feel like getting a shirt and wearing it and stuff. But if you look out there, you'll see, like I said, all white people ain't racist. There's white people that can't accept the truth, know this is a sick racial country, that the country's always, have been very racist towards minorities. That's why they're out there marching with black people, you know. But when you're in denial all the time, but I understand what Black Lives Matters mean, because when black people kill black people, they're not doing it because they're racist towards each other. But when you see these cops and all these hate crimes and stuff like that, they're killing black people because they don't think black people's lives mean anything. Just like I'm baffled. I said, well, I wonder why they think that because I'm a black mother, that what I'm supposed to love my son less than the white mothers and white fathers who have autistic sons and daughters. I said I have no they have no respect. I have had no respect for my motherhood skills from these racist, trash that I'm dealing with. This government racist trash. I said, because I know, and that's why I put that down there when I wrote back to that lady. I said, well, it was because of my advocacy, and it was because of racism. Because I know they don't tell white parents, especially white mothers, you're escalating your son. And that's all I ever heard. And I used to wonder, I said, well, what do they tell the white parents of autistic individuals, whether they're male, female, young, old, or, teenagers or adults? Because usually in teenage years, a lot of autistic individuals during their teen years, they really can get very, very aggressive because of the puberty and the hormones that's going on, and it just overwhelms the nervous system. But I used to think, I said, well, so when the white autistic people are having their meltdowns or behaviors that, that autistics can do, you know, uh, what do they blame that on? Because they blamed it on me. When my son was having aggression or, because of the puberty and hormones, he was, you know, and it's just racism. I said, because he ain't separated from me because of abuse and neglect. And that's what I wrote to her. And she was nice because she wasn't just a white woman that said she saw when she read my story and seen it in the news feed. And she's sorry that me and my son Marquis has been separated so long. And she said she had a 22-year-old autistic son and that he had just came home. I don't know if he was separated from her, but she said he had just returned home. Maybe he was in a facility and stuff like that. But it's just racism. And I don't care who denies it or whatever, you know, because that's why this country's going to go down, because it's been so hypocritical. And it's, full of a lot of people in denial about racism, and God keeps it right in the front of center. Here's another case. This case, this St. Louis thing that's happening right now, they're marching right now. That case happened back in 2011, and God's keeping that racism out front and center. And you wonder why you're seeing natural disasters, and Trump is being humiliated like no tomorrow by North Korea, because the United States know they have to think twice before they do any kind of attack on North Korea, or they'll have to go to war with China. Or maybe Russia, well, definitely China, but maybe Russia too, because they would have wiped North Korea off. If that been Iran or Iraq, they wouldn't even be existing now. But Trump knows, and all the other presidents know, that if you mess with North Korea, big brother, China, is going to go to war with you. And that's why they all, especially Trump, they always try to turn China away from North Korea, or turn them against them, and you know, I said not only are they allies, that is North Korea's a big brother. China is North Korea's big brother, and North Korea is like a puppet for China, because I guess they sit back and laugh at how you can just don't bomb Guam yet, but you can just keep on flying all your missiles everywhere you want to go, test anything you want. They better not attack you. And China told the United States that's unacceptable if you attack North Korea. That's unacceptable. So anyway, so this tape is from March the 1st, 2012, and Marquis just, telling me how much he misses me. Because they always, like I said, say that I escalate my son, because they want him to hate me. They want to separate, put a wedge between the black family and that sort of thing. Sick, racist people, really, really are. And you wonder why this country's going down. Because I believe, and I said this with my last audio video, and I'll explain about what I'm doing with these tapes. Excuse me, I'm getting a little hoarse. Because I've been kind of sick too, with my cold and stuff. But I believe that you're seeing the start of the fall of America, the Great Babylon. Because, like I said, it's just been so evil. And then God, takes He's blessed America and, basically protect her. But I think his hand has He's done took his hand. The hedge of protection is gone now. And, when you turn, against God, you don't want prayer in schools. The highest court in the land said you can have, same-sex marriages. I have nothing against homosexuality or whatever, but I am a Christian. I could go to chapter 2 in Genesis, or the book of Genesis, and see how God designed marriage, who it was supposed to be between, and it's male and female. That's the way I feel about it. That's all I got to say about it. So, this country has always been hypocritical, in God we trust. And, you don't trust in God if you're treating minorities and people like killing them and lynching them and raping them and everything because the skin color is different, and you're not going by what he says in the Bible. This country is trusted in nothing but money and white, supposedly privilege. And like I said, to me, I believe I'm seeing the beginning of the fall of America. And Trump, like I said, now the Lord has humbled and humiliated him. Has allowed North Korea to humiliate Trump. And things that haven't gone the way that he has been used to during his lifetime. He's had all kinds of difficulties and stuff that I can remember of any president in recent history, and it hasn't even been a year yet. So God will humble you, and he's, because like the book of Proverbs says, man can make all the plans they want, but God's will is going to be done. And that's why I said about my son, they don't hold his life in their hands. Jesus does. And the Lord told me, stay faithful, do what you have to do. Because, I'm in school. I'm going to school online. Going back to school. And getting an advanced degree. And Lord said, you just do that stuff. I got that handle with your son. Because he ain't going through what he's going through because he deserves it. Or because I'm trying to punish him. He said, but I'm going to take this thing and make it a testimony and message. And he said, you're right. I'm in control. And when all's said and done, they'll know I'm in control. He said, pray for your enemies because they're going to need it. And I done already, had a couple visions that showed that my son was back home in the house, and show some other things too. But God is not happy with the way he's been treated and him being separated from his mother. But that's how sick this country is. I said, anytime a mother can't even spend time with her own son, and like I said, it's been over 2 years. It's been over 2 years since I last seen my son. And the Lord ain't happy with it. And he said, you go ahead and pray, pray for him. And see, as a Christian, we learn that we have to step back and let God handle it. And that means his way and his time. He's already got the date set for everything. And that includes the day that Marquis is going to come back home. But if it wasn't for Jesus, I would have pulled my hair out by now. But I don't call none of them evil, wicked, racist people. And like I said, it's racism. I said, because I believe if I was a white mother, I wouldn't even be dealing with this. And the autism community is racist. I live that. Don't care who denies it or whatever, because that's what they're going to do anyway. I don't care if they call me racist, because it ain't racist to tell somebody to get off your foot. And the reason why I said the autism community is racist, because when I first joined Facebook, that's the pages I went to. Because there's a lot of autism pages on Facebook. No support, not anything. I even, did a private message, the message thing to one of them. And I said, why in the world aren't you, just, letting everybody know about what's going on your page and stuff? And I got some stupid message or stuff. And then there's a local autism thing where you're supposed to, sign up and meet other families. So when I was telling what was going on in our lives, because this is my life too, because what happens to my son affects me as his mother. And I was saying, I haven't seen my son, and they have stopped me from seeing my son and had isolated and hidden him from me over 2 years. They said they weren't going to put that post on there. And I'm like, but that's what's happening. But then I had to remember, I said, now, see, a lot of these, autism families and stuff, if they're white families, I said, shoot, they probably friends with the Autism Society chairperson and all that kind of stuff, and probably getting all the treatments that they want to get. There's no roadblocks in the way. There's no racism, because racism is in every fiber of American culture. It's in education, law enforcement, healthcare. It's in music. It's in where we live. It's the suburbs. It's the urban part. It's not just idiots running around with pointed hats and white robes. That's not just when racism is practiced. Racism includes power. And when you got people that are racist that are sitting in offices and banks and schools and they're making decisions and healthcare and stuff, they can impose that power. So racism is not just, like I said, the extremists, white nationalists, or KKK. It's also what is being practiced every day in this country in the different parts of American life. You name it, sports, whatever. So, excuse me. So, when I talk about racism, that's what I'm talking about. And that's what has got me in the situation that I'm in, other than my advocacy too. And that's still because of racism. Because as a black mother, I'm supposed to keep my mouth shut, hang my head low and my lip low and not say anything bad. Like, how dare you come in here and challenge us or say anything about, way your son is being treated, while them white parents can raise pure hell. But I know they ain't been told, you're escalating your son and daughter. I know they ain't been told that. And my son never really did any kind of self-injurious behavior. And he never really has, he usually would do property destruction. And he never has really hit on me or beat on me. But you go to these autistic threads and message boards and stuff, and you could read about, parents saying that's what they would do, or they're when they went in meltdowns or went into physical aggression, they would get hit and beaten, scratched and bitten and everything else. I said, but I bet ain't nobody told them, oh, you're escalating your son or daughter. We need to get the, separate you and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm talking about. But I got 3 pages. I better get to this. On Facebook, the first one is called Abuse and Neglect of Autistic Marquis Tanksley by the Government. It's full of evidence. And I always tell people, please go to the very beginning. Don't go to the most recent post. And that's another reason why they don't want me having any contact with me, because I take pictures, I get evidence, I record, I copy documents. So if you go there, make sure you go to the very beginning of the page when I first created the page, and then work yourself up to the most recent. The second one is Justice for Autistic Marquis Tanksley. And again, it's got evidence start from the first page, which is not the most recent post, but when I first created the page. The third page, and this is where the audio videos go, is called The Audio Tapes of Marquis Tanksley, His Suffering, Abuse, and Neglect. And in Marquis's own words, you'll hear how he feels about his mother, me, how much he misses me, loves me, how much he wants to come back home. He describes abuse by the staff, neglect by the staff, by the system. And you can hear him suffering. And I'm starting in 2012, and I'm going to end all the way up to the last phone call. And the last time he was allowed to call me, because if he can't call me, it ain't because he don't want to. They won't let him. If he could, he'd be back home with his mother who he loves. But the last phone call was May the 13th, 2017, that I heard from my son. And before that, I hadn't heard from him for 5 months. But I have to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Jesus when he brings Marquis back home. And so what I'm doing, like I said, with the audio tape page, the last page that I mentioned, I'm putting audio tapes of Marquis in his own words about his feelings. Because my son is high functioning, praise God. And he's able to express his feelings. Now, they try to zombie him out because he's been on Thorazine for years now. And I pray that, there's no residual side effects, because I know the Lord is going to he has to just turn around everything. They got him on the maximum dosage of Thorazine, even though my son is autistic. I said, they don't even, because when he first went on Thorazine, I had a doctor take him off. A doctor at Riverside ER decided to take him off. And it was a low dose. It wasn't a high dose at all. But they went ahead and put him back on at the state of Ohio. And Stanford increased it to the maximum dose. Then they put him on lithium. That's the reason why he ballooned up. Excuse me. Excuse me again. His weight had increased so much within that 3.5-month period because of lithium. And then they have him on Cogentin because of the side effects, because his eyes roll all up in his head and stuff. But God said, don't worry about your son. I'm going to straighten it all out. I got it all handled. You just stay faithful. I said, they don't even give schizophrenics Thorazine. I mean, it is just a really hard antipsychotic and tranquilizer that they used to give a long time ago. But they don't even prescribe it now. They don't even use Thorazine, but yet they got my son on 800 or 900 milligrams of Thorazine daily. And I said, oh, Lord, look what it's doing. You know, his tongue rolling around in his mouth. Lord said, don't worry about it. He said, with me, all things is possible. Because my son has been called to preach, and so have I. And he's got anointing on his life. And I don't believe the Lord's going to, it just will be a testimony and a message to the goodness and the mercy and the great authority of God, because he controls everything. And he said, Marquis belongs to me, and so do you. And he said, I already got the handle. He said, but pray for your enemies because they're going to need it. And when all is said and done, everybody will know that I'm on the throne. And that's why I said these weather conditions, I'm not surprised about this hurricanes, one right after another. You're going to see more of that stuff. It's a global thing that's going to happen. But United States, you're going to, a lot of people just think things like that, especially the wars and stuff, I can't think of a time, and of course, I'm not going to talk about World War II and before I was born, but I can't think of a time where the United States was threatened so much by a country that can do some damage. But that's the kind of age that we're living in, the age that the United States is going to have to live in. So this particular recording was from March the 1st, 2012. And I was talking to Marquis on the phone, and he just tells me, because he said, he didn't feel good. He didn't want to go to any coffee shop because he had a cold. He was at Columbus Developmental Center, which is a state of Ohio operated and ran intermediate care facility for the mentally retarded. And it's ran by the Ohio Department of Developmental Disability. That's one of their developmental centers. And he had a cold. And then, throughout that day on the phone, well, when we talked on the phone, because I went later on to visit him, and I might make a tape of that, because when I went to visit him, we had a ball. We were playing and everything. Because they say, I escalate him. And then they say, I escalate him. After I go home, he's still escalated. I said, well, if he's escalated after he finished talking to me on the phone, or because they say on the phone too, on the phone, off the phone, after I leave, during the visits and everything else. I said, well, how about looking around your environment and making sure that you're not putting in sensory load when you got people screaming and yelling, the staff is all loud, playing music. And, and I said, could it be also the way the staff treats him, the staff that's not trained? Because I have yet to see anybody that really knows about autism. I haven't seen it in schools. I haven't seen it in agencies. I haven't seen it in facilities. I haven't seen it in hospitals. Because if they did, I wouldn't have seen and heard the things that I've seen and heard. Because I said, you're going to just go ahead and just throw him into sensory overload with the noise and stuff. Because they want to take him over there. They have. I said, you can't take no high-functioning autistic person over there in day have. I said, especially my son, because I gave him a list of triggers. I said, he can't take all that noise and sound. It will just make him go, it will trigger him and just make him go into a meltdown. Because a lot of autistics don't like a lot of noise and sound. So I know they didn't know nothing about autism. I had people tell me, oh, he's acting up or misbehaving. I said, he's not misbehaving, acting up. He's doing what he's doing in response to y'all, having it too loud, or your staff not knowing how to work with him, and, because they're incompetent, unfit, hollering at him, personal, everything you're not supposed to do, when you approach somebody like him, but they call it misbehaving. I said, he's doing what he's doing because of autism. He ain't trying to be hard or non-compliant and stuff. I hear that all the time. So I know people don't know about autism. It's just simple as that. But this place was basically for a mentally retarded, low level. If they had any autistic individuals over there, they had to be low level, because even their psychiatrist, or he was a psychologist named Steve Pruitt and Marquis, because when they're legally committed him over there, he said that Marquis didn't belong over there because he didn't have a lower function. He wasn't lower functioning, unlike somebody that needed to be committed over there. They need to be moderately retarded. But my son is not moderately retarded. He's autistic and he's high functioning. He's very verbal. Um, but he does have, some sensory issues, which is kind of like a common thing with people with autism. So, he was just basically telling me how much he missed me on the phone. And then when I went to visit him that evening, and I think I'm gonna make a tape out of that. We just had a ball. We were just playing our games, and you could hear, towards the end where I went to wash his clothes because I wanted to help my son. I went and washed his clothes while he stayed in his room, and you can hear somebody in the background. Then I went back and I would read to him every night from a gospel track. I used to pass them out too to people, and it had scriptures in it, and it was called Let Your Heart Not Be Troubled. And towards the end, until the end of the tape, I was reading to him while he had got in the bed and cover up, close his eye, and I was reading to him, and I would read that to him all the time. So I think I might go ahead and make a tape out of that, and just, and it'll be Marquis having fun with his mother, you know, March the 1st, 2012, and I miss him so much. I just think about him all the time and wish he was here, but the Lord done blessed me so much. He said, "Oh, I haven't forgotten about Marquis." Say he gonna be blessed more than you. And I remember when I went to see Joel Osteen when he was here in Columbus earlier this year, and God had whispered some truths in my ear as I looked around the stadium and stuff about Marquis, and but I miss him so much. And it's like, like, Lord, what shape is he going to be in when you bring him back home? Lord said, whatever it is, whatever, I'll handle it. I'm gonna bring him back home, and he's gonna be a testimony to my grace, my mercy, my love, my power, and my authority. Because I'm gonna have him the way I want him to be, and he's such a handsome young man too. So let me go ahead and play this, and I'm gonna make a separate audio video, but it's going to be a happy tape because me and Marquis is going to be playing and having fun and talking. But they try to say I escalate him. I said, well, when he vents to me, he's not venting about me. He's venting to me because of all the hell y'all done put him through. And here he's around people that are mistreating him and don't know how to work with his disability and abusing him, and the environment's too noisy and he's not getting enough to eat. I'll vent to my mother too when they came to see me or when I talked to them. But I was blamed for that. And I just said, so when these white, kids or individuals with autism are having meltdowns and physical aggression, so I mean, if they, so who do they? Because they don't blame the white parents. So what is the reason for them having aggression? And that's why I said this is racism. But this country is very, very racially sick, and they're going to have to deal with it because God done took his hedge of protection off of this country. I'm saying that myself. And it ain't going to get no better. And I said it's sad because you got North Korea and China and Russia just licking their chops to tear this country apart. And then you got this racial sickness and illness in this country that won't be dealt with because you got racist white people in corporate America. I didn't say any other type of people because racism, I know the meaning of racism. And, you have to have the power to oppose your race. And it's a systemic thing. There ain't no other race in this country that has that power across the board like that except for white people. That means, if you know what it means, I don't care if you're in denial, that Mexicans can't practice racism, blacks can't practice racism. Indians can't practice racism. They don't have the control and power to do it. And I still say that when talk about Sanford and Kasich and Robert Montgomery and Mike DeWine being racist government trash, I'm saying it not because I'm racist. I'm saying it as a response to the way they have treated me and my son. And it ain't racist to tell somebody get off your neck. You need to get off my foot. You know, you're stepping on my parental rights. You're stepping on constitutional rights. You know, my rights as a mother, his rights as a son, an individual, as a citizen. That's what I'm talking about. So when I look at Black Lives Matter, I understand it. If they wasn't being, you know, if black people, especially black males, wasn't being shot down like dirty dogs in these streets and stuff, because it looked like their lives don't matter. When you see that happening over and over again, you don't see it with other races and stuff. And then they always talk about black people being violent. I said, well, see, that don't work with me. Because I go from the inception of this country, 1776. So if we're going to talk about race, let's start from the very, very beginning, and we'll compare the races as far as crime. And then I'm going to take it further and look at racial crime or racial hatred. You don't see black people going around ever. They've never went around in black capes and stuff and burning black people out of their homes and neighborhood and lynching and hanging and the strange fruit. Southern trees bear strange fruit. And they talking about black bodies swinging in the air and the wind and the rapes and the lynch and the racial crimes during slavery and stuff. Don't go there with me. That's why I said, if you want to talk about violence, you know, racist white people always like to make it a race thing. Black people versus white people. Well, we'll go from 1776. We'll look at all the violent acts, and then we'll go ahead with racial crimes. The black race against the white race, or the white, you know, the white racial crimes against the black race. I said, black people ain't nowhere near all the stuff white people have done. And I said, when you see them marching and all this kind of stuff, that's why you got some white people out there, because they know what's up. They can accept the truth. But they're marching because of the way they've been treated. It ain't because they're violent or they want to loot and riot and all that. That's a consequence of rioting is looting. But that's not the reason why they're out there. So that's the reason why you got Black Lives Matter. So when I see people, you know, trying to make a racist organization out of it, I say, well, they're just ignorant. In denial and ignorant. And that's why I say what I say about racism being a factor in reason why me and my son has had no contact and stuff. Advocacy too, because they know that I am an evidence girl. That's why I like to do it. But racism too. I said, when you got people that talk, because they still say that I escalate my son and all this kind of stuff. I said, I know they don't tell them white parents that. Period. No debate. I know they don't tell them that. But they're going to tell the black mother that. I said, but this country's always been racially ill. And, you know, the Lord keeps us front and center. It's always been swept under the rug, except for certain people that had, you know, would stand up, you know. But it's something that, you know, the Lord puts out front and center, because it's like, you need me. It's like God saying, you need me, because you can't really get rid of racism with laws and stuff. You can't do it with civil rights laws. You can't do it with affirmative action. Because the racists are so sick in the head that they're not going to see it as nothing but something racist towards them. A racist loves to pass the ball. But you can't get rid of a feeling like that, because it comes from the heart. And the only person that can change the heart is Jesus. That's the only person that can change that racist heart. So I'm going to go ahead and play this little recording. And then I am going to, I think, also play or make an audio video of me and Marquis that same day, because this recording is from the phone. But the recording where we were playing when I was visiting. And we had ourselves a ball. And then you can hear me running the water and washing his clothes. And then at the end, you'll hear me reading scripture. And that's from that little gospel track. I don't have no more. I used to get it from a guy, and a guy used to send it to me in the mail, but I have one left that's for Marquis because he liked me to read that to him, and I was reading it while he went to sleep, and then I ran out of tape and stuff. But anyway, that's going to be a separate one. So this is the one for now. Um, During a phone call on March the 1st, 2012, Marquis was at Columbus Developmental Center, and he was upset that he was missing me, and he was letting me know. But I said, my son like me to feel how he feels. He not only likes to tell me about it, he wants me to like, no, Mom, I'm hurting. This place, I need to leave this place. I love you. I'm missing you, Mom. He really wanted me to know how he felt. And these idiots didn't know because he had autism that he wasn't going to be quiet about. So he ain't going to be really, if he's hurting and in pain, emotional pain. Y'all had him in sensory low all day long, staff mistreating him and abusing him and stuff like that. So he's not going to say, Mom, get me out of here. I mean, he's going to, and I think it's disability too, but I said, he's not going to be particularly calm about it. I said, but it ain't because of me. It's because of you all. But he's venting to me, but he's going to be pretty upset about it. And he's going to sound like he's upset. Idiots didn't even know that. They think he's supposed to have been calm when he's talking to me. And he's telling me how y'all have, hit him and restrained him and dragged him across the floor, how loud and noisy it is, and how a resident is hitting him, and how he's scared of a staff member and all this kind of stuff. Or he's hungry, or he's got a cold, or he's missing me. I said, he's not going to be calm when he's telling me that stuff. So anyway, here we go. And then after that, after I put this on the audio tape page, remember it's called the audio tape of Marquis Tainsley, the audio tapes of Marquis Tainsley is suffering abuse and neglect. I'm going to go ahead and make the audio video of, and it's never really video on these. I'll call them audio videos because they are uploaded to YouTube, because I got a YouTube channel with probably 60 of these and counting, because I upload them to YouTube, and then I also put them on the audio tape page on Facebook. So, let me do this here from the phone call, March the 1st, 2012, and then I'm going to do, when I visit him later on in that day, we were having fun for all the racist government trash that says that, try to break up the black family and try to, she upsets her son and he don't like her, mad at her, and we need to keep him away from her and her away from him and all this kind of stuff. I said, this sick, racist trash. That's what they are. Sanford and all of them. And I hate to say, I said, Lord, forgive me, but just like what you showed me, how you did David Belinkie, I'm looking forward to God showing me how he going to deal with these people. Because David Belinkie was a lawyer that God put down and made sure I found out about it. He let me know that man was dead and gone. But I knew God was going to punish him when he was talking to me on the phone and bragging about, because God hates pride. That's another thing. I said, this, and he was a Jewish lawyer too. But he bragged about, I said, it's bad enough to, admit to abusing people, because he said, I run over people in court. I got a big mouth and stuff. But to brag about it. And then he thought he was a phenomenon and all this kind of stuff. I said, huh? I said, ain't nobody a phenomenon but God, and that's too mild a word for God. But anyway, that man was dead and gone. But I knew God was going to punish him. And I felt the wrath of God. I never felt nothing like that when he was talking. And I knew it wasn't from me and it wasn't towards me. But I just felt like anger. And in a year, the Lord made me go get a newspaper. That's how he made sure I found out. I don't get newspapers. That day, he made me go get a newspaper and open it up. And there was that man's name in the obituary. So, But anyway, this is this recording, and look for it on a YouTube channel under Myra Tanksley, or you can also look for it in the on Facebook on the audio tape page. And here we go. And you should be able to hear this better because this thing is not on a micro cassette. This was on a regular cassette tape, and it's got a better volume and clarity to it. So here we go. So there you have it. And that day he did have a little bit of a cold because they kept the room too cold. And that's why he said he didn't want to go to the coffee shop because he had a cold. And then he was saying, and this is all the time he would tell me that. So much for the racist government trash that tries to say that Marquis um, and I are a dysfunctional family, or he can't stand his mother, because God knows I love him. I love him, and he loves me too. So that, that just kind of blow. And this was all the time. I got tons of tapes of him telling me this, that he loves me, he misses me, he wants to come back home. And you hear him say he needs to come back home. And, of him describing abuse and neglect, and me hearing, um, and those are with later tapes, because this is 2012, and I got tapes all the way up to 2016. He's been kidnapped by that racist government trash for federal funds for a few years now. But, and I said, I'm not going to let that trash, that racist trash, speak for my son. I said, my son is verbal. I'm going to let people hear it in his own words how he feels, and hear his suffering, him crying, the emotional pain, the physical pain, the neglect, the abuse, of missing his mother, wanting to be back home, of being a victim of, incompetent, abusive staff. And I got them on tape too. I even seen one of them strike him in his chest. That was December the 1st, 2012. I heard him being physically abused. Seen him being physically abused. I heard him being verbally abused. And I mean, you just name it. It's on the tape. And I, as a mother, shouldn't have to see that kind of stuff. Because Marquis is definitely a victim, but so am I. Because I'm baffled. Because I'm black. What I supposed to love him or walk away from my child, or love him less than a white mother? And that's how sick racism is. I said, I'm going to show him how much I love my son. And I don't have to worry about slander, like I said, because ain't nobody going to send me anything asking me to shut up about it, because I got evidence that goes right along with it. So there you have it. Look for it on YouTube channels or on Facebook. And it'll be on the audio tapes of Marquis Tanksley, his suffering, abuse, and neglect. And Jesus is Lord. And I'm looking forward to my precious son being back home through Jesus' hands, through God's plan and his power, mercy, and authority. I love you, Marquis. Think about you every day. Hang on in there, sweetie. Thank you, God, and thank you for listening.